Purchasing a boat holds a level of promise that few experiences can match. After discovering the vessel of your dreams, whether it is patiently waiting on the cradle or anxiously swaying in sleep, visions of carefree days on the water immediately float on your thoughts. As you step onto the boat and lovingly trace your fingers across its surfaces, you can't help but marvel at its perfection. It becomes clear that this is the one. Standing at the helm, gripping the wheel, you can already feel the wind ruffling your hair, the sun warming your back, and the gentle motion of the boat. But it's time to come back to the reality. Do these marks suggest a crack in the hull? Do those water stains inside the galley cabinets look normal? Is rust supposed to be on the keel? And what's causing that bulge in the hull? If any of these issues indeed signal potential trouble, and some certainly do, it's about to become your problem. You'll be the one footing the bill for the repairs, or heavens forbid, dealing with the consequences firsthand. So calm your racing heart. The boat shopping process involves observing imperfections. However, where should you direct your search? What specific criteria should you use? And once you came across something, how can you understand its significance? On this channel, I'll start by telling you about the boats that I looked at before choosing the one that I have now, and I'll explain why I picked this sailing boat. Then I'll share my journey while fixing up and improving the same boat. My goal is to make it reliable and safe for the sailing on the water in this summer. The first thing that I look for on a boat is the symmetry of the board. I simply go back of it and visually check if something appears strange. If a major hull rework has been performed, achieving symmetry can be quite challenging. Even the most skilled marine technicians sometimes struggle to attain perfect symmetry. Just visually observing it usually tells a lot about the boat. Then I move to the front of the boat and perform similar checks with a particular focus on surface discrepancies. While doing so, I also inspect for any disturbances in the paint. Since this is a steel boat, I pay particular attention to the rust. However, both steel and fiberglass boats can exhibit hull issues with bumps. So basically I am checking for the flatness of the surface. This boat in general looks fine, and the surface mostly looks flat. The most important area, of course, is where the boat comes into contact with the water. It is acceptable to observe some issues with the anti-foiling paint, as this type of paint is designed to be reapplied annually. However, if you see issues like this one, you need to pay more attention on that area afterwards. Just try to find some areas where you can see something weird is going on. They usually reveal themselves with different type of paint, since this is an old boat and they apply the anti-foiling every year. And different color may or may not be a certain issue. Well, I will show you how to do that later on. I pay extra attention to the propeller area because any mistakes in the mechanical settings of the moving parts can generate a significant amount of the stress in this region. Again, this might be a serious concern or maybe not, but for now I at least know where I should focus on which areas more. Also, don't forget to visually check especially the hidden areas like under the sacrificial anodes. Next, I move to one side of the boat and examine it for any signs of distortion. Or the tightened states can lead to permanent hull distortion, often manifesting as a break in the shear line, typically near the mast station. The condition of the bulkheads is significantly important. If any of them are in poor condition, it poses a potential risk of sinking, so I always inspect them carefully. Usually there is not much time available for a true inspection. I mean, you usually don't have days just for inspection, of course. Therefore, I focus my attention on areas that demand closer checks, such as dents and damages from previous accidents. I go through those areas for more detailed examination afterwards. I got this boat at a reasonable cost, and I aim to keep my expenses and efforts on repairs to a minimum. At least I would like to make sure that I am not going to sink right after buying that boat. So that's why I'm spending most of my time on the hull inspection. I think all other components on a boat are less important than the hull. While walking around the boat, I saw some grease stains on the rudder. That's because of the issues on the gasket. But I was able to rotate it without any resistance, so I think just replacing the damaged gasket would fix this issue. But if you have some issues while rotating the rudder, it might be a pretty hard issue to fix. Also, it has been corroded quite a bit. I think the reason is the paint type that they have painted over it. Soft type anti-foiling paint doesn't resist to the currents that well, and since it is located right after the propeller, it will melt away the paint rather quickly. And if you have exposed metal, it will start corroding. But since it's not a structural part, and fixing it is rather simple, I will just pass this one. Since we are here, let's check the propeller as well. You should be able to rotate it without any resistance. And it should rotate very smoothly. Also, you shouldn't hear any sound at all. Or if it doesn't rotate smoothly, it means either something is broken or some mechanical settings are not set correctly. And checking the propeller is easy. Just push it all the way up with your old power, see if there's any gaps. There shouldn't be any visible play on the shaft. Strangely, I found one of the sacrificial anodes are painted over, which prevents doing what they are supposed to do, which is preventing the corrosion, of course. But there are adequate number of sacrificial anodes in the hull, and they are corroded as you would expect them to be. If none of them have any corrosion on them, then you should truly inspect other metal parts on the boat carefully. This bulge is looking really suspicious and I would like to spend more time on it. You need some basic tools to make additional checks. After completing your visual inspection, you need a few tools at hand. First one, maybe the most important one, is a hammer. With that, you can tap it into the hole and try to hear different sounds. It's simple but powerful tool. One of them should be Phillips head and other one should be flat, because you will have probably both flat and Phillips head screws. And another one that I use is a simple multimeter. With that you can check the voltage of the battery and also you can check the grounding. Also it's really good for basic troubleshooting. The next one is a plumbing camera. It doesn't need to be a sophisticated one, but they are pretty helpful. They don't cost much, but they can save you tons of money. With this, you can investigate areas where you cannot reach. For example, under the floor tiles and such. Even the basic ones have a light function, so you can just increase the light and basically see dark areas where you cannot actually reach and see. I will put a link down in the description if you're also interested in one. Definitely worth investing on that kind of stuff. Also, if you don't own a plastic hammer, you can basically put a plastic cap on top of it and just use that one. Hammer test is very easy to do, but quite powerful. All you need to do is tapping the areas and trying to hear sounds which sounds different than the rest of the hull. You basically tap to the surface in every inch or 2 centimeters and carefully try to hear the differences. I especially focus on the areas where I suspect most. My tip here is first tap in an area where you do not suspect any issues and then get close to the area where you suspect the most. For example, in this area, I can clearly hear that the sound of the hull is different than the rest. My guess is the window area is leaking and it resulted the corrosion over the years. I will take a closer look to this area from the inside later on. My biggest concern in this ship is this area. It might be something serious or something simple. But let's see. With the hammer test, I can see some weird sounds are coming up, but it doesn't produce dull sounds like you would expect from the corrosion to be. Feels like something heavy on top of it, or maybe something hit the ship from the bottom. But I am not convinced yet. So I will go to that area and try to check it with the camera that I showed you. And behind the boat I see some naked metal. Probably the current from the propeller removed the anti-fouling paint and caused this. And also tapping doesn't create any off sounds, so I will take that as a cosmetic issue. Just realized they bended the leg of the ladder because it was in the way of the exhaust, but over the years it deformed the paint in this area, I guess. Well, it's not a deal breaker. Let's check the area where I am interested in most. It is in the middle of the boat and on the starboard side. So it corresponds to the toilet area, where this window is located. But the strange thing is, I cannot really access the area under this floor tile, because how they made this toilet. So this wall is on top of this floor tile, and to be able to access it, I need to remove the whole wall. So what I will try is, I will get under this rug and use the camera that I showed previously. I think this is an important check, and most of the time surveyors don't really look under the floor tiles if they are not easy to remove. So even if you want to hire a professional surveyor, it's better ask to the current owner of the boat, or bring some screwdrivers and do it yourself. And if the owner is not letting you check under the floor tiles, then you should just walk away. Because most of the time, biggest issues are hidden under the floor tiles or behind the panels. And what I have usually witnessed is, people usually try to take care of their boats most of the time. They don't really have bad intentions. However, if the boat is designed in a way that you cannot access some areas, then the problem might accumulate over the years. For example, this area is fairly accessible, and as you can see, the steel is pretty nice. There is concrete under the toilet, I don't know the reason, and if you know, please write it down in the description. So with the tool, I am checking under the floor tile, which is basically the one that is located in the toilet area. It looks okay on the surface, but I can see a little bit corrosion on the support beams. So there is a small risk that I am taking here. If this support beam is heavily corroded, I need to remove that one and weld a new one back in that place. But of course that will take some time and effort. And if you don't want to do it yourself and hire a guy, then this will be a very expensive restoration, because they need to remove the floor tiles and also concrete and etc. Here is the beam that I am talking about. Definitely there is a corrosion going on here, but from the screen it doesn't look that bad. I should be able to fix it rather cheaply. Of course, I am not counting the hours that I need to spend, but let's see. You can see the level of the corrosion right after I start renovating this area. I also removed the cushions to check the issue under the seats. And this is also a fairly accessible area, and as you can see, the situation is quite nice and it's well maintained, and the paint is looking really nice. And another pretty hard to remove floor tile, which is located under this hose. Also, I cannot push the camera just down here because this is a support beam, and what I'm going to do is I will raise the floor tile as much as possible with a screwdriver and push the camera down under the floor tile. Again, just be expected it. There are a little bit corrosion going on here, but it doesn't look that much. The best part about the plumper camera is actually you can just bend it and push it as you would like it. But the situation is better on the port side than the starboard side. Still, I would like to stop existing corrosion and paint it properly. Let's continue looking for hidden spots. This boat has a refrigerator, and it looks like there is mold in it, but I guess it's going to just work, because this type of old refrigerators are quite robust and they don't really fail that often. Apart from the cleaning, I think it should just work. The right side of it looks okay except from being dirty, but on the left side there is some sort of issue on the paint. It looks like the paint just burnt down. And the most logical explanation to this issue is, I think there was a welding job which they have done on the other side of the boat, and it just burnt down the paint on this side. And since it was a little bit hard to notice, they just forget to paint it again. But there isn't any corrosion here, and only a paint job will do just fine. A well-done repair is nothing to worry about, but you should be cautious about halfly made jobs. This is even important if you are paying someone else to do this kind of jobs for you. This has been rather a long video already, and I will continue investigation of the cabin and deck on the next video. See you next time.